gross.
Just one drunken night, we were at this party, and we basically got kicked out. Like, the host fell asleep on the couch, and the other host was like, "Yeah, you guys got to go." So we were like in Lancaster, walking back to our house, and this guy was just, "Hey, can you guys want to hang out?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure," because they were at the party as well. So it was like 1:45 when we got kicked out, which is a normal time to kick people out now that I think about it. But yeah, and he was just like, he was the brewer for what is that? Square One. Have you heard of that? Square One Coffee? It's in Lancaster. It's like a big like, he's like the main brewer or whatever.
I'm gonna check it out.
I remember just being drunk and being like, "What's the best coffee?" And he said 7-Eleven. If you have to if you on the run, he said 7-Eleven coffee is
really
interesting.
Yeah. I haven't minded Sheets coffee if you get the Cuban. I don't mind the Cuban blend. I love that one. I remember.
Isn't it weird to get coffee at Sheets now? I feel like it's like a different process.
I don't do it still. No. We've done basically everything since the before times. Everything now is just basically us doing everything at home. I literally have gotten the ingredients to bake bread. Just in case the shit really hits the fan and we can never leave the house again. We can still have our tuna fish and sandwich. Little tuna fish sandwich.
The last time I went to Sheets, it was like you had to be like a physicist to figure out the coffee thing, because it's like 1 cup, like whatever, blah blah blah. It's like a little machine. It's like how Starbucks kind of has it, like with the little machine, doesn't it? Doesn't Starbucks have that?
Yeah. Well, not
like the creamers and stuff.
No, it's not the creamer. It's the actual coffee. You put in your size, everything, and then just like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, no, not.
I don't think Starbucks has that.
No.
Oh, okay. Because like Wawa is the cool little like old school like tin thing.
Yeah, the urn that you pull the lever. Yeah.
It's just done away with that completely. It's like a Japanese automat. Yeah.
Well, that's how I used to. When I was younger, I drank 7-Eleven coffee, but I did like you push a button. It's like a not French roast, French vanilla cappuccino.
Yeah.
And then just dispenses that was it. I had to work a whole summer with my dad. And he did like the Lance crackers. So he delivered. So we had to get up at 2:00 in the morning to get on the route by like 3. And I did that a whole summer because he was like, if you do this, I'll pay for 6 months of your car insurance. And I was like, hell yeah. So it did suck, but
good deal.
But that's at like every morning we went to 7-Eleven and that's what I drank.
Wow. That's the most regional story too, because it's Lance crackers. You can only tell that here pretty much.
I got Lance.
He just stocked the like displays and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one time I bought a case of Twix because he had like candy too.
Yeah.
And I spent $37 on a case of Twix. And it was the most ridiculous thing, but I love candy.
How long did that last though?
It lasted a lot longer than I thought because I got sick of them a lot quicker than I thought.
I was recently in a convenience store here that sells food. It's like kind of basically like a mom and pop Wawa.
Yeah.
It's called One Stop. It makes the worst food, but it's just so good.
Yeah.
They have their security cameras like here's the register, and then they can watch them like right here on a big screen TV because it's Kensington, so there's like probably most likely a lot of theft and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, I was the only one in there waiting for my order. I don't know why it took so long. And they were just watching the cameras, and they're like, "Yo, check this out." And it was like a guy literally taking a whole box of Twix and putting it down his pants and walking out. All the things to steal. He was also holding a dog. I was like, "This is the greatest thief ever."
Yeah. Wait, did he come in with the dog, or was he
stole the dog? They sell dogs. Yeah.
I don't know how mom and pop this was. Like, I feel like a mom and pop Wawa is like a ma-pa.
I think it would definitely be against the law to sell animals where you serve food.
No.
Oh yeah.
I do it all the time at the
I
flea
don't think
market.
it could be that.
Have you ever? What's your favorite?
Oh, that's true.
Do you? So you grew up in Philly area, or where did you grow up?
I grew up actually like in between Reading and Lancaster, like
okay,
Warnersville, basically.
So you know flea markets.
Oh boy.
How often was there food court right next to the bird cage?
Oh, yeah.
The bird cages.
I have a tag of a joke where I talk about like my one side of my family being Sicilian, the other side is being white trash, and I'm like, yeah, if you don't believe me, I have an aunt who on her tax return for occupation puts flea market. Like, yeah, literally have an aunt who runs at a flea market. So when I was a kid, I would sleep over at her house like in the summer, and when we go to this flea market, and I remember being like, you could buy tube socks, or you could buy like hamburgers, and then there was just a livestock auction.
Hell yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
Shut down too. Like some of those markets were still going.
That feels like maybe that's probably actually where Corona started. It was actually there, right where you're talking about. It wasn't a wet market. It was a fucking bone dry market out in PA.
A bone dry.
It was fucking some boneyard out there.
It was so funny when they said that, a wet market. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Sounds sexy.
Yeah, I just keep reading like everything is like, I don't know if you guys even want to talk about this. I've been trying to avoid it. Like
we got to touch on.
It's inevitable. Like it's gonna happen.
We have our like basic stock questions about it too that we've kind of been asking everybody anyway. But like it's like, what have you like? They say that you're supposed to read or take in one type of news and only from one source. That's it.
One news source.
So what has been your main news source?
Glenn Beck? No.
No, Alex Jones.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I decided to like look up like a article on like what reputable newspapers were, and it was like The Guardian and like Atlantic and things like that. So like normally when I'm on Facebook, if I'm looking at stuff, there'll be articles. So I do it that way usually instead of like seeking out articles, because every time I do, every article is like, it's like, we're doing okay, or it's like we're all dead, so it's
right.
Ground, and it's hard to find anything that's middle ground. Like, I don't know, I think there's a David Cross bit about how you have to read other countries' newspapers to get your own news in your country. But,
so, that's awful, but smart at the same time.
So just random stuff. And then like my girlfriend is will read articles out loud as a gasp. She's like, I'm like, here we go.
Yeah, I mainly get my work or my information from work because we get updated every Wednesday. So I'm kind of using that as my main source and then just follow local stuff. I'm not even looking at the US.
You work for Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like you're in like a different position than this, like I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I manage a store. Yeah, I'm a
manager. All right. Yeah. Awesome. That's really cool. I actually it's a great place. You can get a Nora Jones CD and an Americana.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. It's I think there's a it's funny you said Americana.
That's Americana. I meant Americano. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
No, but if I'm there, you can get an Americana. I'll give it to you. I'll fucking hook you up with one of those, motherfucker. Give you a Kimura. I'll give you Americana. No, I think there's like a level to this, like, because so far it depends on where you are. So like where are you, like literally, like you don't have to say exactly your exact address.
But like Kensington.
So aren't you like Philly, like right outside of Philly or something like that?
That's the city. It's just like North Philly, but like Kensington just is super adjacent to it's like right over Jarrod, but that's where, if you know Northern Liberties, like where people will go out to park.
I do
Northern
not.
Liberties was Northern Liberties was like in the last 10 years like the area to crack for like young professionals and stuff like that. They were like started building all the. It's like when you go through Lancaster City or wherever, or Harrisburg, where people buy a house and it's like depleted, and then just like this weird muted gray with new numbers on it, and you're like, just rehab that thing, like that's the area that this is becoming to.
Okay, so so you're still in. So are you okay? Are you like you have plenty of food?
Yeah. Okay. We'll go like once a week to Trader Joe's, and then that's usually good because we've been trying to like eat a little bit healthier and stuff like that. This is definitely. I think there's going to be people coming out of this thing are going to be like looking good, man.
Yeah. Well, this is my point. I've been doing stair runs. I've been doing rows, push-ups, like all this shit. Like I've been keeping up with. Like I've been training. I was supposed to have a jiu-jitsu tournament in June, Yeah.
Mhm.
The June. Yeah. The end of June. But I'm sorry, I was looking at the flyer. But
then I was looking at got confused. Go ahead.
But it got but it's more of it's got rescheduled obviously, but it didn't get canceled, which is awesome. But it's also one of those things that like a lot of people are going to come out of this, us included, like coming off of better. Do you know what I mean? Like where we have plenty of time, we're using our creative time like wisely, stuff like that. And like I feel like that's a thing that like there's also that factor. Like so like my thing is like I've been awfully pro Rona lately. And I'm glad to hear that you're safe, but like what's your like half glass full moment? Like what have you taken
What's
out?
been the benefit?
What's the
of
benefit
Corona?
most for you?
Wow.
Obviously,
I'd say writing.
Okay.
The person I'm quarantined with is obviously my girlfriend, so there's like it's easier to get through those like little things, you know what I mean? Like because then you're like, I don't know, it's rad because like you guys have been in a relationship for a long time, you know what I mean? And then like one person's going through something and you're like, it just hasn't been my month, you know what I mean? And no one gives a shit, but now it's like it's nobody's month, so like everybody's depressed or unhappy or whatever, so it's like kind of easier to get through those things. You're like, well, yeah, like, and then this is like my half is like there is a silver lining. You know what I mean? People are surviving. People are making it. There is chances that things will come out of this. There's like, I mean, I'm glad I'm never gonna have to shake some people's hands anymore.
Yeah, I'm excited about this too.
But then on top of it too, it's like it gives a lot of people creative time to write. It gives people like how many? I can't imagine the TV shows that are being written, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be years from now until we see them, or like the stand-up bits that are being written right now, you know, like, and then I mean, at first it's going to be like the gym after after the new year, like, you know, with people and stuff like that. And then I think things like what we do will probably calm down. You know what I mean? Like stand up. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Way different. Yeah. I mean,
it's way like it's one of those things where like I love the fact that like a lot of people are getting down to where like it's put up or shut up. Do you know what I mean? Like they're like saying like there's something like I want to like you said that I'm gonna write this thing. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna write jokes. I'm gonna do this. Like, but it's harder to do that in a way. Like it's hard to find those experiences because none of us want to write an hour-long fucking like Corona set because we know once this is over, nobody wants to fucking talk about it. Nobody's gonna want to remember this. Nobody, you know what I mean? Like you, unless you're like great, it's gonna be hard to write a good like Corona. Like everyone's gonna have it. Everyone's gonna have it.
I'm sure there will be.
Oh yeah. I watched so there's like beta testing that they're I guess doing what they're calling it for the Comedy Cellar in New York. And it was like a thing. I was like, I got like an email about it, and I watched it, and it was like 4 different comics, and it was just like this. And a dude did like, it was great. He did like 2 minutes on Instant Pot, and I was like, that's what he got out of the corner. It wasn't a Corona joke, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that funny stuff out of it too. Like maybe it's sort of Gaffigan-esque, or well, you know what I mean? Where you're like making fun of a product or Seinfeld. Yeah. Still getting something cool out of it.
This is something that I've called it's like the creative equalizer. This is the true creative equalizer. This is where like if you can write, because then you're figuring out like what are my capabilities, what can I do, how like can I be consistent, can I work on this stuff, because it's just about its structure, like to keep yourself sane in this time. Like it's fucking keeping working and keeping structure, and then also keeping those experiences, like learning how to pick out those experiences still in your day to day, and not having to like, oh, I went to this concert and let me talk about, you know what I mean? Like I feel like there's a lot of stuff too. Like there's a lot of things where like, oh, I went to a Flyers game and you're like, oh, and people are going to cheer. You're like, yeah, see, like that's not for you. That's you know what I mean? Like there's things like that where like now you're gonna have to rely on like super duper relatability and being funny. Like that's it. You have to be funny.
Jokes will be. I'm not saying like I'm not being that person who's saying PC culture is going away or something like that. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like I think people will understand jokes a little bit more. They'll be appreciating that it's a joke. I think things like that. Like there's so many people who are people I see as well-to-do who are losing, you know what I mean, and things like that. Like my parents had lost money in retirement stuff, like that they had invested and things. Like things are just like slowly. And I was like, okay, I get it, blah blah. And then I guess it's like always comes back to the things I like that like really affect me. But there was a Comedy Cellar nightly thing I was watching, and the owner said, he was like, yeah, if they want people to be 3 seats apart and this and that, he was like, I would have to sell my home, move into the apartment above the Comedy Cellar, and I would only have to have like 10 comedians a night. It was like drastically cutting everything. So it's like people who you think are like set for life aren't. It's crazy. It's really, it's awful. And then like they told you to invest and everything like that. And I have one friend who was talking about it, and he's like, I've never invested. I've saved every penny. He's like his communion money, basically. Like, and
like he started there and then just
he's like, I'm set for the next 3 years if I needed to be.
Okay.
And like, that's what they told you not to do. And it's like what this came to is like that. So another thing that comes to light is like, oh, I should probably save every penny. Basically.
Yeah, because they had forgiven rent, and I was talking to him. I'm like, should we talk to the landlord? Like, we can pay it.
Yeah.
At this point, we can pay it. So then we were just like, let's just do it as long as we can. And then if it does get to a point that we can't, then that's when you kind of are like, okay, what are we going to do?
I was like, let's not have that conversation until we have to.
Yeah.
That's the best thing too. And then it's like, someone was like, we were doing Google Hangouts for a thing, and I was like, this is awful. We should probably do Zoom. And I was like, I'll pay for it with the money I'm saving on not buying iced coffee.
There you go.
I'm not, I'd like, and that, I wonder if that luxury goes too, because you think about, I've been out and I think about germs so much and the things that I'm touching, and like,
I can tell you that is not the case whatsoever.
Wait, oh, really?
Starbucks is like the busiest it's ever been.
Yeah.
People are waiting 30 minutes for coffee.
Oh, I saw a line when I went to Trader Joe's. It was so far. It's
so crazy.
Baffling. And then I'm thinking about like all the stuff, and it's like touching and whatever. And I saw online, I sound like an old man, online on Instagram.
I was on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, I was on the intranet, and a friend posted a story, and they were riding their bike with an iced coffee. Then they stopped at a Taco Bell, and then they were on a beach, like next to people. And I was just like, like, 3 months ago, I'd have been like, that's the coolest day ever. That's terrible.
Man, perfect day. Yeah, like I thought the same thing. Like we actually, when this all started out, we were just coming back in town from a podcast convention. We were hanging out at the house anyway because we had some time left. Like we had taken more time off, and so we started out quarantined. Mm-hmm. Came back to work for a couple days. I mean, like I
went to work for
for
2 days after vacation, and then everything happened.
And then stuff started closed down. So then we started working at other stores, other places, other things.
I haven't really worked in like 3 months.
I mean, I've been doing the same. It's
same. It's really weird.
Yeah. It's really strange.
Wow. I mean, yeah. Do you, what's like, can I be, I'm switching it. I'm interviewing you. Isn't that what you're doing an interview? No. What do you guys miss the most?
I would have to say jiu-jitsu. That's the thing that I miss the most. I miss like being able to choke people out. I've been not looking for, but not avoiding confrontations while out the store. I've been wearing my P90X, but if anybody gives me sass, I'm like, you have no idea how willing I am to touch you right now. I'm not scared of germs at all. I'm not fucking scared at all, and I'm happy to do my part to help prevent the spread of whatever the fuck is happening. And I don't, whatever, if it's a conspiracy and I don't want to spread any more 5G. I don't want to spread any more, whatever the fuck is happening. If it's, if people are saying, if the CDC is saying wear a fucking mask, then fine. I got a P90X. I'll put it on my face. I'll go to the store. I'm not wearing gloves unless I have to, but I'll wash my hands. I'll start washing my hands. No. But like, I think I'm one of the people that you're happy not to shake hands with anymore.
No. I'd rattle off a list if you let me.
But it's one of those things that like, that's the thing I miss most. What about you?
Definitely going out to eat. That's I love it. That's one of my favorite things to do. And then just hanging out with, with people.
Yeah,
like I enjoyed I don't have too many friends. My friends are all people that I work with. So
Loser.
I know I am. But who needs friends when you got Pat?
Yeah, right.
A lot of people.
A lot of people. I need emotional support.
Yeah. It's crazy that people like. I think that's to me is like maybe I'm just a different person, but like people are like I miss going out to eat, and I'm like, my favorite thing is getting the food and coming back and like watching something.
Yeah.
But like now maybe I'll be coming out to eat.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not what about you? Like, what do you actually miss? Like, is it comedy? Do you think, or what do you think?
Oh, dude. I mean, I've been doing stuff with like people like locally that I know, and then like I started a podcast with Dave Feinberg. And
what's the name again?
So Tell Us podcast. So it's like so tell us.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It was like something like so.
Yeah. It's just David being Jewish and me being almost Jewish. It's just, basically. And then, I guess
that's a great tagline, by the way. You should use that for the description of the podcast.
We're interviewing Kirk today, actually.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Hello, Kirk.
So that's just battle of the voices, those three.
It's gonna be a soothing podcast.
Yeah.
I think just interaction, like how you're saying, like I kind of just miss that, like because everybody on the street, like in Philadelphia, you're walking down, it's like it's like a minority in the 50s, like they're just like crossing the street, and,
right?
like holding back dogs and stuff, and I'm like. We're 6 feet apart. You can like wave, smile. You know what I mean?
Masks on. We both have masks on. Like at that point, I'm like, who's at risk? Like who's still like? What are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not gonna hug you.
I feel that. I feel that though. Like when I go out, I do instinctually feel afraid. Like I don't mean to, but like if I see somebody, I'm like, oh, like I don't want to get into anybody else's bubble. Like I'm not afraid of being sick or anything like that. I'm trying to be respectful as much as possible. So that just makes me anxious because I'm like, what if I do something wrong?
Everyone's doing the like,
nervous and like, exactly. It's just, am I gonna get yelled at?
We were saying every store is an IKEA now. Every single store is an IKEA now. Where like you can only go one direction. There's only one way to go, and you can start at the beginning and finish at the end, and there's no in between.
Yeah, you can tell like the actual like companies that care about their employees, like Starbucks or like Trader Joe's or anything, because in Trader Joe's now they're only letting a certain amount of people go down an aisle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like at first it was like, okay, only 40 people in the store, blah blah blah. Now they're like directing the traffic, everything like that. Is like, well, you can tell that they take care of employees if the employees are like enforcing these. You know what I mean? Like,
no, that nailed it. Yeah, exactly.
You go to Acme, they're gonna be like, they don't do.
Yeah.
Whatever, like it's. Well, I mean, it's also like a 17-year-old kid running a self. Whatever.
Yeah.
What have you been like? What's your favorite thing that have you been rewatching anything? Have you done a rewatch or a binge watch? What have you been enjoying like watching? Like
sorry, guy.
No, I was gonna say like a lot of people are rewatching, going back to things. I was just somebody was covering it today, like it makes them feel comfortable, like things that they already are familiar with.
It's comforting,
stuff like that. We did almost at right at the beginning. To like soothe us, we did a Planet of the Apes marathon of the new three. What?
And
James Franco one?
Yes, the first one, and then
we did that trilogy. But it was just so funny because it was
she cried.
Of course.
I just remember the ape talking in the James Franco one, but it took like maybe 90 minutes.
Oh yeah. Well, because it like he builds over time. So like that first one,
she's getting choked up now.
He's a baby. So then by the second one, he's speaking a little bit more. And the third one, he's having full blown conversation.
No.
Oh my God. I love that.
No.
Is that the first thing he says? No.
Yeah. No.
Go.
No, he says no.
Oh,
was it go?
Yeah.
Go. Well, see, now we got to rewind.
He was just like, wait.
Get on now. Go on now. Get.
But it was because it starts like a virus wipes out humans, and so like we're watching this, and I'm like, I don't like this is
at least there's a happier ending for the orangutan. You know what I mean?
Okay. What if you had to save one person? There's a virus. You have to save one person. That's not Pat. Who are you saving?
That's not
Can it be famous
person?
people too? Can she just like
That's what I thought was like. I was thinking the whole plot, and it's like it wipes out, but James Franco is left. It's like, did they purposely save James? They're like,
honestly, I would have saved John Lithgow. I wouldn't have saved James Franco. I would have had him get better and play the piano.
Lorquette mixed up.
Ooh.
John Lithgow and John Lorquette. I was going to mix up, but John Lithgow was Third Rock from the Sun.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
John Lithgow
Night Court.
I mean, I don't even know what Night Court is.
We got another show to watch. So what have you? So now we have our next show to watch. What have you been watching? You said
Night Court. No. And then we rewatched The Sopranos just because it's like,
fuck yeah, dude.
I don't know. But I picked up on a lot of stuff I missed.
Oh yeah. He had never seen it, so we watched it. Probably we started it maybe last summer, and we ended it, I don't know, probably in December. But we had just finished that, and I had seen it before, but I got way more out of it the second time around. And then I felt bad, like this happened. I'm like, this would have been a perfect time to watch Sopranos.
We can go back. I'm happy to go back. I'm happy to start right back over. I don't give a shit. So
go back. And then two, on top of it, the last season is like more of a Matthew Weiner season, I think. So you watch Mad Men, it's like so much from that last season is Mad Men too, like the dreams and all that stuff.
Yes. I have tried to watch Mad Men, I kid you not, 5 times.
Yeah.
Because I want to like it. Like it is completely something that I would typically watch, but I cannot get into it. I don't know why.
I'm the same with Twin Peaks.
I tried Twin Peaks as well.
So yeah, The Sopranos, and then Top Chef.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
You like to cook, or do you just like watching other people do it?
No, because it's like even impossible to like. They're like, this is a salmon souffle, blah blah blah, and they taste it, and then it's over. It's like there's no. They didn't even. They're just like, I reduced this and I made this, and it's an arugula dressing, and then it quit. And it's like, how would I have ever learned anything?
That?
Yeah.
But no, I just think it's like a reality show that's kind of like, at least there's some skill involved.
They're doing something, yeah.
Exactly. They're like really talented.
That's why
there is some drama, but it's not super.
Yeah.
What's the one I like? Top Model? No, not Top Model. No. Project One, Runway.
Oh, you like Project?
Okay.
Hey, wasn't that the one? Not the new one. I like the one with Heidi Klum and Tim Gunn.
I like the new one. Yes, Tim Gunn's great, but I love Christian. Awesome. Christian is so great.
Doesn't he do that? Make it work. Or
I don't know if he does the gun hands. Yeah. He should, because he's Tim Gunn,
yeah, it's right? Tim Gunn. But you know what? Tim Gunn and Heidi Klum just started a new fashion show on Amazon. So it could be the new kind of Project Runway thing.
And they're part of the whole Corona thing. They're behind all this. They're one of the holy trinity of companies that's going to be left, right? Isn't it like Amazon, Walmart, and what was the other
Costco?
Cheerios. Cheerios are gonna be. That's gonna be like the roaches and Cheerios left. Like those. Cheerios are gonna left. The other one is that I watched like once in a while and started was Always Sunny. And I just realized how good those episodes are and how wild they are, and the stuff that they do for network TV and get away with is like pretty amazing.
We've been doing the same with Parks and Rec. Like that was one of those things that like I forget how much, like how many episodes end with me like kind of tearing up too. Like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I love Community. I love The Office is great. You know, I'm deaf, but as far as like what was the other one? How I Met Your Mother. Surprisingly, like they're like solid sitcoms. You can't fuck with them. Mm-hmm. They're like one of those things like this. Okay, so I have a theory, right? Have you seen The Irishman?
I have not.
Okay, that's surprising. As somebody has you are what? You're a
first generation Sicilian, but no, I haven't seen it, and I just keep hearing so many mixed reviews that I just haven't.
He's watched it 5 times.
Can I tell you honestly? I think I have a compulsion. Every time either The Irishman is brought up or I just think of The Irishman. Like I'm listening to a podcast and somebody goes, "Oh yeah, The Irishman." I go like, "Oh yeah, that movie exists." I go watch it.
Wow.
That's how much free time I have.
Yes.
So I'm glad that I've really been able to focus up. But The Irishman is my theory with The Irishman, and why I do that is, and you are you're close to our age, right? I think. How old are you?
Me? I'm in my early 30s.
Good.
Us too.
Vague it up. Us too.
I am though.
But so those movies, there's a category of movie that has dominated our lives as people, as kids, that are like, when a movie is on TV, you stop and you watch it.
Yeah.
You like, it's no matter what time it is, like, and Goodfellas is one of those movies, right?
Oh, yeah.
So my theory is you need to give The Irishman that same respect, because it is just as good. It's just as long.
Okay.
And because it's so long, you forget parts that you love.
Okay. All
and
right.
Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, like, okay, so the effects are
said
shitty.
Yes, he's gonna watch it.
I know. I'm listening, but I'm now making the case for everybody else.
Okay.
This is your ploy to start this podcast. It's just to spread Irish.
Yes.
It's surprising though, because you make quite a bit of Irish jokes, or not Irish jokes, Italian jokes, and it's a mob.
Make fun of Irish people. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, like, the effects are weird. It is off-putting, like, a little bit, but once they start getting older, like, that's only part of the movie.
Yeah.
The rest of it is literally, that's probably the bad shit you've heard.
It was distracting a little bit the first time, but then after I've watched it 3 times.
Have you seen no, way more than that. Have you seen Glengarry Glen Ross?
That's amazing.
Then you're gonna love The Irishman. You are gonna love The Irishman.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, Dave. Fuck you, John.
James Link.
You're gonna love it. At one point, Al Pacino's like ranting, like he's at like 12. He's like way higher than he should be meter. Like, he's over, and then he's just, I'm going to jail. He just like just goes down, and it's just like every time it catches me off guard, because I'm like, oh, here's the part, and it's just like it's beautiful.
Have you ever done that? Like, I've caught myself where it's like the Pacino voice is so fun, but you do it saying other things, and you're just like, we're gonna need a bigger boat. Just like any famous quote.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
not a smart man, Jenny. But I know what love is.
Oh my god, dude!
Hey, with my magic lips.
Doing a Seinfeld thing though.
Oh yeah, Al Pacino as Seinfeld.
Yeah.
What's the deal? My belt touched the inside of the urinal. It's gone. But basically Seinfeld. The Seinfeld Al Pacino is basically just Kramer.
Yeah,
that's true.
Now
I love Kramer so much.
My favorite Seinfeld. It's like, why does the pharmacist have to be all the way up there? Yeah. Royalty. Yeah. I like, a lot of people are champion Chris Walken, but I will say, I gotta, like, Al Pacino, I feel like should be, and I know people do the Pacino and people love like a good impression, but like, I feel like he should be the level that Walken is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't. Yeah. There's so many voices like that are just like so passed over. Like, nobody does a Michael Keaton impression, but Michael Keaton has such a cool voice. Like,
yeah.
I just did the phone. Sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, I just was watching that part of Batman when he was like, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts!" Like, it's amazing. Like, yeah, but who's the other?
In Irishman, or?
That's why I was sweating. The burner was still on. I was like,
idiot. What are you doing? You're gonna burn the house down.
It was on low.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no. So okay, no, let's get past that.
Sorry. No.
No. I just say there's Walken, there's Pacino, but then what else is there?
Oh, the other quotable, like the other quotable person.
But that's what I'm saying. Walken is like everybody can do a Walken.
Yeah, I mean,
Michael Caine. I feel like Michael Caine was like that too.
I love how people. The best way I've heard it. I wish I could remember where I heard it from. But like, the best way to do a Michael Caine impression is to say the words "my cocaine" in a Cockney accent. and like that's like
my cocaine.
My cocaine.
My cocaine.
My cocaine.
My cocaine.
Do it in a British accent and just go, my cocaine.
There's a whole scene in that movie, The Trip, where they just do Michael Caine impressions.
It's
the only good part of the entire movie. It's Steve Coogan and some other guy. The only good part of the entire movie. It's just 2 minutes of Michael Caine.
Yeah, I guess you're right. No, Morgan Freeman, I think, would be the other one too. I think that's the other one.
But
Morgan Freeman.
Can anybody do that?
No, but everybody tries. Everybody knows when you attempt it. Everybody knows. It's like everybody knows when you're attempting a walk-in. Everybody knows when you attempt a Pacino, and everybody knows when you do like a. Oh, I was just gonna try to Morgan Freeman, but I just clenched. I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't know if it's racist.
You just say Andy Dufresne.
Andy Dufresne.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
I like doing my my Lando Calrissian, my Chewbacca. Get to the Falcon, Leia, Han. Gotta get to Alderaan.
It's so good of a small impression.
Yeah.
Somebody.
All of them are small. I never have a long impression. I have a "fuck you, Dave." And I have "get to the Falcon." I also have Catman. Actually, all my impressions are black people. Most of them. Al Pacino.
Oh yeah. Overlook Hotel.
The Overlook Hotel. Hello, Miss Torrance. The Overlook Hotel.
Yeah.
When
I was a kid, I used to love to do impressions. And one time we went to DC and Maryland for this like family trip or whatever. And my dad was like, okay, my sister, we're going to do this. We're going to the aquarium. You want to go to the aquarium? My brother, we're going to do this. And then he's like, Jarrod, I'm going to let you do those impressions for a while. So we walked through the Inner Harbor.
Did he do this too? Like, did he go like this?
Yeah. So it was just me, like 10-year-old me pretending to do like William Shatner and like just stuff like that. Like what I thought was like, because I wanted to be like an impression comedian or something like that.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be basically Joey from Full House.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted to be the voiceover part. Like I wanted to be the voiceover cartoonist and a stand-up comic. I was like, ventriloquism. I tried it. I actually did try it. Did I ever tell you that?
I didn't know that.
I had a cat puppet. I bought it at the Renaissance Festival. It was like this big blue cat, and it had like long arms.
Please do a bit about how, as a child, you decided you wanted to be a ventriloquist at a Renaissance.
I know that doesn't seem right.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to turn all those women on all at once. Like, I think that would be.
I was at a Renaissance
fair, you know.
I was at a Renaissance fair. I saw the puppet. I dropped my magic cards and I read it.
Yes.
I think there's a level of performance to it that is like I do respect like the art of it.
Yeah.
But I don't have the dedication to it.
Well, I can't be entertained by it. Like
I know
you'd be
what's
surprised.
Happening. Boy, oh boy. Yeah. I talked a lot to that cat.
Well, but I'm saying me as an audience member, I would not choose to go see a ventriloquist. It's not because
you don't like magic.
It's not magic.
I feel like it's on par with magic.
Yeah, magic
is. You know what's happening.
Like
magic is cool in the way that like as soon as it's over, I want to know how it's done.
Right.
Like that's how magic is cool to me because I know it's not real.
Right.
And I know people are like, just live in the moment. It's like, yeah, I did, and that's over now.
Right. It's cool. Yeah. I want to think like, how did they do that?
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like
ventriloquism is not, and magic is way cool. You'll get way more girls doing magic.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I don't know about this. Dude, I don't know.
Before I even started stand-up, I lived in Arizona. I went to the Tempe Improv, and I saw a show. It was like a charity show or something like that. It was a hypnotist, a comedy hypnotist. It was awful. But man! It started at the Tempe Improv. They bring down the screen and they show this video, and it's like, "Welcome to the famous Tempe Improv." I don't know why it's like a strip club guy saying. He's like, "Welcome to the famous Tempe Improv." He's like, they're like, "We've had famous acts like Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Jerry Seinfeld." Or no, sorry, we had amazing acts and such legendary comedians as Jerry Seinfeld, George Carlin, Bill Cosby, and Jeff Dunham. What? Like, and I remember going out like right after it happened, going out, and I was just laughing, and the waitress was like, "Whoa, did the show start? Is it that funny?" And I was like, "No, I was laughing that they said Jeff Dunham was a legend," and she was like, hold on, come here to this guy. And she's like, tell him what you just said. And I was like, oh, I was just laughing at that thing that said Jeff Dunham was a legend. And he's just like, oh man, that is so funny, right? And another lady comes over and goes, what's so funny?
Really?
Dude,
like a sitcom?
This is one of those things where you have to say true story, but so this lady comes over and she goes, oh, you guys are enjoying the show? And she was like, oh no, you just said something funny. And she's like, what'd you say? And I told her the Jeff Dunham thing. And she looks at me and she goes, I'll have you know, Jeff Dunham owns half of this club.
Yeah.
And I was
I have
you know, that doesn't make him funny. Like, you know.
Make him a legend.
I'll have you know, now I know why his name is the last on that list.
Yeah, then it goes,
because he owns the fucking club. And also me. I mean, you should include me, right?
That's amazing, though, to put, like, your money back into that, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where it comes from. I give him respect for that, where it's like, okay.
I would never say, like, there, like, a lot of people who, I think Mark Maron just had him on the podcast, on his podcast or something like that. And like, he was discussing it he was a guest on a podcast I listened to. That's how he was saying, like, did you bring up the fact that he has, like, you know, racist puppets? Like, he has like certain puppets that are like this one, and he's like, yeah, I did. He's like, we talked about it a little bit. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. Like, he's at least able to be like, hey, look, like, he had built like a whole story, like almost like a wrestling feud type, like alternate universe story to justify having a dead terrorist puppet for material, you would assume.
Yeah.
And then like and like he like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have had that black one. Sorry about that one. That you were right about that one. Like, so he was like, apparently like each one, he was like 50-50, like, yeah, you guys are right, maybe. But like, as far as like, when I was, and I don't mean this to sound so condescending, but when I was a kid, I really did like Jeff Dunham. Okay. Like I did like Peanut, the weird, like just being weird. I like silly guys because again, I like Joey from Full House, who had the woodchuck. Yeah.
I get a child thinking that's cool. That's it's like a cartoon almost. Like, that makes sense. But as an adult, like, no.
And then it's like, what is he saying too? You know what I mean? Because like, people like shit on Gallagher.
Right.
But if you actually watch Gallagher, he would say things like, the English language doesn't make sense. It's not Tom, it's Tomb, T-O-M-B. And then he's like, I would get in trouble for going to school and being a smart aleck. I'm getting in trouble for being smart. It's like, he was saying jokes. He was just smashing fruit while he did.
Yeah, right.
His thing was like, his thing was he got too caught up in the shtick. Like, the shtick was the thing was like, that was his like Bert Kreischer taking his shirt off thing was like, because it really, like you said, it wasn't his whole act. It wasn't, it was literally like just this small part. For like 1 second, he comes out with the shirt and goes and takes it off, and then he starts the show, and then it's just a show. He's not like, look at me. He doesn't do like 10 minutes on not having a shirt. Like, Gallagher did close with the Sledge-O-Matic, but I used to. That was the thing. I grew up watching him. I used to watch him and Carlin with my mom like all the time. We used to watch like I think I saw every single. I even saw the special where he smashed his front tooth. Like, he was fucking. The Gallagher special where like he was like it was like a big canvas, which I fucking also really enjoyed that concept. I still like that concept, maybe not for comedy, but I guess if that's your thing already, might as well have like this big canvas, maybe auction it off for charity or something. If you are some dickhead that wants a bunch of rotten fruit in a couple months.
He just auctions it off to give the money that he already spent on produce to people who need food. So
wasteful. Absolutely.
Also,
but
like, how funny
get a 3D printer out now, you know what I mean? Update the act a little bit.
How funny would it be that he's like, he goes to do a show and then he's like, what? It's not in season? How much am I losing doing the show? Like, he's just too much on watermelon.
Yeah. Yep. He's like, we should switch it to something else, like ground beef or something. But no, he was like reaching up and he was trying to like he's like, oh, I missed a spot, and like jumped up and like slipped and then like fell right face first. Brutal.
Wow.
But he kept it in the special. And he kept it in the special. That's one of those things. Gallagher is 100% from what I've taken in from pretty much everybody that's experienced him. He's kind of a dickhead. And that's from like people locally here working with him. Like, he was okay. Like every single Harrisburg comic except for me. So every single Harrisburg comedy, I think maybe Tony Viagra was probably in there too. I don't know who like.
Well, I think he was in Harrisburg and then he went maybe closer to New Jersey because I remember Andy.
Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Andy did it too.
Yeah. No, I think that got rescheduled.
That's such a lineup: Tony Viagra and Gallagher. Like,
yes.
It was at HMAC. It was upstairs.
Yes.
And they had like chairs set up and everything. Like I saw a video of it, and like not the whole thing, obviously, but like clips and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure it was like 7 local comics, and then
it was a long show. I was shocked.
But it was, but like I would never probably go see him ever live. Do you know what I mean? I don't want it ruined. I enjoy the Gallagher that I used to watch on Showtime specials.
Yeah, you probably
and shit
hate
like
it right now.
Especially like, speaking of Mark Maron, he walked out on Mark Maron right in the middle of the
he baited him though. Let's give Gallagher some credit.
He was being a dick.
He baited him pretty hard. Like he called him out for street jokes, but it's like, the dude's like 60 years old. You really think he's gonna start writing this topical humor? Like
yeah. It's one of those things where like Mark Maron is definitely a dickhead. That's why, like, I don't really necessarily listen to his podcast. I just when he's on podcasts that I like, I don't shy away.
I've never listened to it. I listened to that Gallagher one because someone told me, and then an old radio show that I used to listen to. This guy Tom Sharpling, who wrote a lot of stuff. If you know him,
I know him. Yeah,
he was on it, and the interview started out with like, "Yeah, you used to be a dick to me," and Tom Sharpling's like, "I don't remember you. Like, what are you talking about?" You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I keep getting a Mark. I have a beef with Mark Maron or something.
I think everybody does. It's fine.
It's one of those things that like you hear enough about him and how he is with most comics or anything like that, and they're either people relate to him so much and they're like, I don't want to identify with him, or they're like, I hate that attitude or that energy and I don't want to be a part of it. So it's like either way, I still think he's great. I think he's talented. I
like him in Glow.
I would never say anything bad about any of his work. I just literally, it's just not my thing. That's all. It's like, cool. It's not my thing.
Who's your guy though? Like, what's your podcast that you listen to that he's on?
I heard him on Jimmy Pardo's podcast, Never Not Funny.
Okay, yeah, all right.
He listens to that Never Not Funny and Jim and Sam series.
You listen to? What's your I like when people tell me a podcast like that. Actually, I respect their opinion when they talk about.
So wait, did I pass or no? Probably not.
No, I'm just saying like
Hold on, I'll find something good.
I would take your recommendations. There's just people that like are like, "Hey, you ever listen to Joe Rogan?" And I'm like,
I
get it, but I
haven't. It's so weird. I had the ones that have really dropped off for me, and it's weird now that I'm not like doing things like driving places and going out and stuff like that, going to mics and stuff. I'm not listening to. I haven't really listened to Joe Rogan. I haven't really listened to Bill Burr. I haven't listened to his podcast. I haven't really listened too much to Your Mom's House. We've been watching it on YouTube.
Yeah, see, I don't listen to Your Mom's House. I watch it. It's more fun. It's the videos and stuff.
It's good.
And that's weird. I don't know why. I think
it's a great rotation of like podcasts where it's like you like the guest, you listen to that episode. You know what I mean? I feel like you're still supporting it that way.
Oh yeah. I listen to Wife of the Party, which is Bert Kreischer's wife.
Okay.
Her podcast.
Yeah.
I love like I want to be her when I grow up. Like I have her
very
her
patient.
Mug.
That's what I need. I need her to be that too. Very patient with somebody who abuses substances.
Yeah. And then I listen
what a woman.
to Where My Mom's At, which is Christina P's.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, she's really fun. She's like, the stuff about her mom is hilarious.
Oh, it's so funny. And we don't have kids, and they talk a lot about parenting. Wife of the Party is kind of everything. They talk about everything. But I really like it because I'm a store manager, so I use that. I'm like, I feel like I'm parenting 30 children.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy it because it helps with that. Like, this is
so awful.
I know.
Couldn't imagine that. That's just like any retail experience that I've had, it like turns into respect for retail so much.
Oh yeah, 100%. And especially through this. This is waters that I obviously have never treaded, but like we have to be so knowledgeable, like all of the information. Like I know so much about viruses right now, what makes up like the crown particle of what all of this stuff. And I'm like, I sell coffee.
Yeah. and it lives on plastic the longest, right? That's like the longest it lives, apparently. That's what I've heard. That and the surgical mask, that like it stays on it the most amount of days, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I honestly, never mind. I'm not an expert. I don't know. I've heard so. I think, well, like they're not talking about it at work. Like that's not part of, so I don't think it's a big concern. Mm-hmm. So anything that's,
that might just be the liberal media. I don't know.
But because I've heard different things, like the same thing, like what people are doing when they get takeout, and they're like they're taking it with gloves. Then they take the outside layer, whether it's a bag or whatever, take the gloves off, wash their hands. Then they go get the food, take it out, put it into another container. So I've heard people doing that. I've heard people leaving boxes. So if they got Amazon, they leave it outside for 24 hours before they bring it in, or they, put it in their garage or whatever, because supposedly it lives on cardboard. But I heard 24 hours for cardboard. Then I heard 3 days. So I'm like,
basically like, anytime I get anything, it's wiping it down and then going from there, and then like immediately washing my hands.
Yep.
I think it's the best you can do. Like, you really? I mean, a friend of mine has like been doing stuff outside, but like social distancing and stuff, and I was like, thought he was crazy, and then he was like, you have to live your life because it's a possibility. But to be honest, it's already affected them. Like their partner got it. Their partner's a doctor and contracted and so on and so on. And they did the quarantine, and he's fine. But it just affected her, and she's okay now. But like, he's like, you got to live your life. It's like a possibility that everyone can, you know what I mean? If you
and I heard that, and I remember them saying this at the beginning, everybody is going to get it, but what they didn't want and why they're doing the stay-at-home order was because they didn't want everyone to get it at once and then flood the hospitals. Yeah. So I heard that like 2 days ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when this started. That was the whole thing. Like, you are going to get this.
Yeah.
It's just a matter, or maybe you already had it, or you're immune to, like, but the idea is everyone is going to get this, and they want everyone to get this so we can build the antibodies and be done with it.
Yeah. And I mean, if you really like, maybe this is like me being selfish and thinking this, but like, if you really think about it, I have friends who are affected by this. Like they were a bartender, a server, what have you, that they worked retail, and it closed down. But like the stuff that's closed down that people are protesting that they want is really a frivolous thing. Like to go to a bar, to do, you know what I mean? Like to do comedy. It's not stuff that's life sustaining.
It's a mild inconvenience.
Yeah, it's just a mild inconvenience. So hopefully we get through it faster. You know what I mean? And then people who are like, I need a haircut. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, I mean, you want one, and you may need one.
Yeah.
But who you impressing?
Everybody's
in the same boat.
I mean, the same people want a haircut are the same people who think Karen's a slur. Like, it's just...
Honestly, like, I with all the, like, I'm tired of all the antibody talk because I'm very body positive. And I personally don't like it. And honestly, I feel like it should be canceled.
Yeah.
In my opinion, should be canceled.
Got it. Canceled.
Cancel the coronavirus. Hashtag cancel the coronavirus. Let's get it out of here.
No, let's not cancel it, because then everyone's going to go outside and then we're fucked.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. And it's funny because the content that's like coming out of this is like, no one's like super pissed. Like, to go back to the other thing, the podcast I listen to, like, a podcast called Pod Don't Lie. It's Sam Morrill and Stavros, and they're just talking about basketball. But they can still talk about basketball because they're just getting people now who weren't going to be on the show, who are staying home, to be on their podcast, and they're talking about it. It's still great. And then like, you guys ever listen to History Hyenas?
That's the one with Chris DiStefano and Young.
It's wild. It's wild. They're like, they'll say something and they're just like, it's a character piece, like anything they say that's like.
Chris DiStefano is one of my favorite people. Did you watch him as one of the hosts of? He was one of the co-hosts for American Ninja Warrior. No, Ultimate Beastmaster.
Ultimate Beastmaster, yeah.
Holy shit!
It's so funny.
Okay, so now you have two that's
two
new
Netflix.
Things to watch. Right?
Okay.
What was the first one? Irishman and Ultimate Beastmaster. Okay, so the first season is like Terry Crews, which is pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, I can't remember who else.
And some other person. And then after that, Chris Stefano, I think, took over, and holy shit, dude. It's Chris Stefano hosting Ultimate Beastmaster, which is like basically American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
That's Netflix version of it.
So just imagine him on a very unhinged podcast, and it's the other guy is Giannis Papas, who has the Mauricia.
He's a Greekman.
What's that?
He's a Greekman.
He is a Greek. Yeah. It's really good. I'm trying to think whatever.
Well, and that reminds me, like that class of comedians. I also listened to Joe List's Mindful
Metal Jacket. Hilarious. Mindful Metal Jacket. Oh.
He has a show, I think, on the at wherever, and it's called Earth, Wind, and Funny.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I love Joe List, and then I relate to him on like when he talks about anxiety. Oh my God, Opa. See, about the Greek.
I can turn the video off if you need to.
No. That was.
He's not gonna hit her.
I didn't say that. What did I say?
No, don't worry. That was just my Hummel figurines crashing to the. No, that was no. It was probably.
It's not worth protesting at the state yet. So.
Yeah. I just dropped my bottle of olive oil, and now I have to immediately. Yeah. No, I've never heard that. I've always listened to him on
Tuesdays with Stories.
Tuesdays with Stories, yeah, which is like him, List, Norman, DeStefano, Sam Morril. Those guys are like they do comedy right. Like, I think that they're like, like people think it's maybe some of the stuff is like over the line or whatever, but like I don't think that they do that. I think that they do comedy well. So.
Yeah, I agree. Like those people are like I enjoy. Those are like the kind of people that like I would follow to a project. Like they said, I'm doing this, I would check it out because they're on it.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like that's like one of those things of like if Joe, because it's not just like I know that they'll probably like. Just because of how self-conscious or how much they're worried about getting judged or whatever it may be, they're not going to take a shitty project or they're going to make it better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so even if it's not good, they're going to be a good part of it.
They do. And like all of them will do shows in like places that are like not the best place, and then like Tuesdays with Stories will be like an hour of them complaining about like the travel to and from. It's funny. Like, Norman did a show at Cave. Like, I don't know if you know what Cave Philly was. It was literally these kids' basement, and they just did shows in there. And like Chanel Ali, Mark Norman, Stavros did a show, and he just like, and the green room was this kid's bedroom, and it basically was like, so imagine like half of this room is like a bunk bed with a sheet, and then a futon and a TV, and that was the green room that you sat in. And I missed it. I missed his show, and we did 3 shows, and I missed it. And I was like talking to my friend who runs it, and I was like, "What the fuck was he doing?" Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like, "I just ate Chinese food on the futon," and then he did 3 shows, and he opened every show with, "It's great to be here in Hitler's bunker." Like, that's where I think it's funny. It's like even when those guys get huge, they'll probably still be doing those shows where it's like
it's work. Well,
and that's like you use that as your open mic. Like the stakes aren't high.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to do. You'll get paid for it. Pat booked Joe List. Who else was there?
He brought Stavros with him.
He brought Stavros at
that was his feature. So
the Chameleon Cub.
Yeah. We had them come out, and then like it was the same thing. He was just like, "Hey, we're getting coffee around the it's like I told him everything about the show, like how many, like it's a smaller show, all the stuff, but he also brought his notes with him and shit like that.
Yeah, you just use
he's gonna work on he doesn't get an hour as much as he would like out in New York or something like that. It's only 20-minute sets.
Yeah.
So on a Sunday night for a couple-hour drive, he can get paid to do an hour. Yeah.
So he wasn't as big.
Right.
I mean, I think he would still do it now, but it was like you might not get an hour at that point. Who knows if he was able to get an hour in New York City?
Yeah, and I think that's like I'm only like under 3 years or whatever now, and like the shows that I've done where like I look back at them or like think back at them, look back like I have a book.
Scrapbook.
I think of like the shittiest places are sometimes the most fun because you're just like, oh, well, fuck this. I can just be myself, and I can, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
one of the last shows I did was in Port Carbon, Pennsylvania, at a bar where there was like 3 or 4 generations of people who owned it, and they lived above it, and the bar was so old. So the men's room was right at the bar, and the ladies' room was all the way in the back. And somebody was like, oh, I got to walk so far for the ladies' room. And they were like, yeah, this bar was built before women were allowed in bars. So they had to add the ladies' room.
Oh my God.
So you can imagine how towny of a place it was.
Yeah.
And like, that was like my favorite place.
And there's probably still people that go to that bar that are like, I miss how it used to be.
I literally opened, I was just like, I drove through town, and you guys have as many stoplights as you do Confederate flags. Literally, there was one stoplight and I was like, this is what makes up the town. It's right outside Potts, wherever Yingling is. That Potts.
Oh.
Yeah, I think Pottsville, PA. Yeah.
I don't know. And there's a Pottstown. There's a Pottsville. There's probably a Pottsburg.
Wait, where exactly are you guys?
We're in Harrisburg.
Like downtown?
Real close.
Yeah.
Right outside.
Okay.
Adjacent.
How is downtown Harrisburg? Sorry.
No. It's not bad. It's been super light just because all the state buildings and stuff have been closed pretty much, except for the protests the other day. But I wasn't down there, so
I heard it was real bad. I mean, more crowded. Not like there was a ton of people, and they had like a car parade like going around and signs, and it was crazy.
I've only been downtown Harrisburg besides field trips as a child. My dad, my whole life, he's like worked for the state, and I would have to go there because he would always like pressure me to apply for state jobs, and I would just have to like drive the
make something of yourself.
Yeah, it was just be a civil servant of some sort, you know.
There's some stuff there. Like, there's not. We don't hang out downtown a ton, but there are a couple of really good restaurants, and I know there are some good bars. People that I work with frequent, but so it's pretty good. I don't think it's super lively or anything.
Dave and Buster's.
I don't think I've ever been to a Dave and Buster's.
We don't eat there often. We just go there and play video games.
Yeah.
Video game.
When I could, I would take like I have a nephew. I have 11 nieces and nephews, but I have one that
Italian.
He's like, my nieces are older, so it's like harder for me to hang out with them. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to do anything, you know, like they just want me to give them like, I don't know, is there TikTok money? Can you just give money on TikTok? Like, that's what they
donate. They want you to subscribe or something like that.
But so I would just pick him up, and like I would and we would go to Chuck E. Cheese, and they have like a deal where it's like $12 or something like that for an hour of unlimited. Like,
nice.
Yeah. And so I would help him, and then it would just be like, then I figured out that one ticket is 1 penny. And then you can also buy all the prizes.
Can you really? Aw.
So that's why it's so cheap, because like one ticket, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
And then you're like, we got 500 tickets, and then it's like, you have
$5. And you probably how much money did you spend to get $5?
Well, the $12 for the unlimited.
Yeah.
And you get $5 back.
You
only spend $6.
You get those jumping spiders.
Yes. Yep.
I love those things. I used to love the we used to go to Bennigan's with my dad. And there used to be like a little thing where like almost like, you know, like the self-serve, again, another thing that probably won't be around anymore, but the self-serve candy things, you know, you can scoop out.
Oh, yeah.
But there was like a prize thing, or it was like I think it was something like they had a little mini arcade and a little prize thing. And you can get those little finger monsters, the little things that go on the
Oh, yeah.
And it has the little wiggly arms, the little rubber pieces, or little ships that look like the Galaga ships. That's what I used to play with on the way home.
From Bennigan?
We used to go to this Italian, it's called Victor Emmanuel's, and it's like an Italian club, and you could eat. It was good food, but whatever. And then there was like one of those there too, and then the claw machine, and it was never like anybody ever used it, because Italians are all like, you don't need money for that junk. Somebody just does the worst investment to put it there. Like, yeah, I remember that, and the little finger, and the quarter things. It was like my dad just jingling changes pockets. I don't have change.
Yeah. And you're like, there's no way. I saw her hand you change. Like she just said that how
Give
much
me
change
those quarters.
Yeah, you paid in cash.
All right, man. So why don't you tell people where they can find you and like any cool shows that this is going to be coming out on the 4th on Monday on the 4th, May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Oh, okay, yeah. My brother was having a baby and it was supposed to be born on May the 4th, and then it was born at like 12:30 on May the 5th. He was so pissed.
Oh man, so close.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's January 5th is like the only thing that's out right now. July 5th.
I was going to say January. What?
Yeah. Either way.
July 5th. So I don't know if it's going to be open, but or if it'll be going on then. But I think it's Liz Micale. People say Mile, but I think it's Liz Micale. She's like a New York comic. She's coming down. Hosting that show at the Chameleon Club. So for now, there's Joe's. That's the only one that's like prospectively out there, which kind of sucks. But it's something to look forward to as well.
Have you thought about doing your Craigslist show online?
Well, so we have a date of May 17th.
Okay.
Like that was our next show, but I don't think that anything's going to come out of it. Like I don't think
they'll do it through.
Yeah, you
should
try to.
You have Zoom, you said.
That was such a
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So we were supposed to do it May 17th, but basically because of this, it's canceled.
Yeah.
But I was actually going to just try to turn it into a benefit for the security guards and bartenders for.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. That'd be funny to do it through, but getting people to do anything through Zoom is like pulling teeth. Like they don't understand. And like, you just sign up for free, and I send you a thing to click.
Yeah,
you don't have to pay for it. I paid for it.
You just type in Zoom, and it says join a meeting, and you put the number in. That's it. You don't even have to sign up for anything.
But that's the thing. Skype works that same way.
Yeah.
I don't know about like GoToMeeting or whatever.
Well, you should do like a survey and say, okay, who's willing to use Zoom?
I asked a couple comics too. I was like, hey, I was thinking about trying to do this. Would you be in? And some people they do not want to be a part of it. So
yeah,
whatever.
I don't know about I did a show for Lemaire. We did Feud. He did his show Feud, where it's a game show where you support your bad opinions or you defend your bad opinions against other people, and you try to convince the audience to vote for your thing over. And
you wore just your big white pointy hat.
No. I left that. Actually, no. I did my pro Rona. I did. What was my other bad opinion? I don't know if he's going to release that. Like, I don't know if he should have recorded it, but we did that over Skype.
Yeah, it's really
it's what?
It's released. Like I've seen it on my feed.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, it's out there. But just a sneak peek. Bad opinion. I was introduced to pro Rona. I got a lot of shit for that. I'm against. I think people that collect shoes should be made fun of.
Yeah.
A lot more than they are. I don't think it should be considered as cool as it is. And the last thing was, I think the more sentient robots become, the more we should tax them.
Yeah. Okay. I approve of the second one just because I think it's the funniest thing in the world. Because it's probably like those dudes who collect those shoes are in my opinion, and the people I've come across with, because like somebody's gonna really like tax me on this one, but they're like the most like bro-ass homophobic dudes. But girls don't care about those shoes. You're just impressing other dudes with those shoes.
Literally.
Oh, that's a good point.
No one cares. Like what, like.
I will say this: the person that I was competing against was a young lady who was a person who collected shoes. I'm just saying that.
Well, of course, there are exceptions.
And I did not. By the way, the funniest part was I didn't realize until the end of it when she came up and showed me the person her profile and said, "Did you know?" Like, and I was like, I had no idea. I just picked a random.
Oh, wow.
Unpopular
but
opinion.
Her profile picture is her sitting in a tub
I had no
filled
idea.
with shoes.
I literally
like Jordan's?
I did no research on her.
Yeah, he didn't know her.
I just did all my research on the topic, on my bad opinions. I tried to secure what exactly it was about it. And I was like, well, if you told me you collected fedoras or shirts or pants or any other article of clothing, I would make fun of you.
Yeah.
So if I collect shoes, I'm like, all right. And then you also don't wear them. I'm like, I'm not against extravagant spending or showing off. I'm somebody who collects hats. I wear the hats as well. So you know what I mean?
Where's the hat? If the hat fits.
Where's the hat?
Moral of the story.
That should be my.
You should do your show online. See if you.
Yeah. So yeah, I can look into it. I'm gonna do.
You could still get Craigslist people that have Zoom.
Yeah.
Like you could, you know.
That's asking a lot.
You're gonna get a lot of penises for a while.
Oh yeah, it could be really good.
Yeah. Well, the amount of times that I've been called a slur that doesn't fit me via Craigslist for putting up the posts that I put up are insane.
Like, oh my gosh! Oh, post that.
Shit. Yeah. But yeah. So that's like we'll see what goes on with that. But then other than that, David Feinberg and I started the Sotellus podcast. It's just at Sotellus Pod on Instagram. It's on Facebook. Yeah, Kirk is today. I'm excited.
What time are you doing that one?
7, I think. He's still working though, so I think that's why he's on the later schedule. Well, like but I mean, he's like physically, I believe, going to work.
We've switched. Oh, really? He's actually going there?
I assumed that's what. I don't know.
I know that we actually got so caught up because we were able to do them a lot easier. It's obviously a lot easier to get on the same schedule right now.
Well, all 3 of you live in 3 different places.
we've all gotten to the point where we're able to stock up some episodes. So it was we haven't recorded in a while. I haven't talked to him in a little bit. So I don't know. I didn't know if he was going back or not. But I know he was stuck at home. I know he's got his whole setup from home. Alan's got his whole setup from home. But yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Tell him I said hi.
I will.
Hello.
Well, this is fun. Thank you so
much.
Man.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. We love you.
Bruce.